What if one of the most dangerous moments in the Mahabharata was not a duel, not a council, but a private conversation between a mother and the son she had hidden from the world? Before the first arrows of Kurukshetra, Kunti finally tells Karna the truth. He is not an outsider by birth. He is her firstborn. But by the time she speaks, the truth has become too late to rescue anyone cleanly. That is what makes the scene so brutal. Kunti is not revealing a harmless secret. She is revealing that the man fighting for Duryodhana is actually brother to the Pandavas he has sworn to destroy. Suddenly the war is no longer only cousins against cousins. It is brother against brother, with the missing mother standing in the center of the wound she helped create. The deeper question is even harsher. Why did Kunti wait this long? She has lived for years with the knowledge that Karna was born from her before marriage, abandoned in fear, and raised elsewhere. She watches him grow into one of the central forces of the coming war. Still she keeps silent. So when she finally speaks, the Mahabharata forces us to ask whether confession is always courage, or whether sometimes it is only guilt arriving at the last possible hour. This is why Kunti's secret matters far beyond family drama. Krishna has already made strategic efforts to prevent the worst outcome. Diplomacy has failed. Loyalties have hardened. And now another late truth enters the field, not with power to heal, but with power to intensify the tragedy. The war is close enough that truth itself starts sounding like another weapon. So the real mystery is not whether Kunti loved Karna somewhere in her heart. The real mystery is what kind of love stays hidden until destiny can barely be changed at all. To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning, Kunti's youthful miracle, her fear, the river, and the silence that turned one abandoned child into the sharpest secret of the entire epic. Kunti's crisis begins long before Kurukshetra. As a young princess, she tests a mantra that can summon a god, and Surya appears. The encounter brings a child marked by radiance, armor, and earrings, a miraculous birth that should sound like blessing. Instead it becomes terror. Kunti is unmarried. The world around her is not built to honor her truth. It is built to judge it. That detail matters because Kunti's later guilt does not come from nowhere. She is not discarding a child because she feels nothing. She is trapped between maternal instinct and a social order that can ruin her before she has any power to resist it. The Mahabharata lets us feel her fear, but it also refuses to erase the choice. Karna's tragedy starts with a mother's panic and a society that made panic feel reasonable. So she places the child in a basket and sets him afloat. The image is unforgettable because it joins tenderness and abandonment in one motion. Kunti is saving herself by losing him. Karna is spared death, but not dispossession. Before he can speak, his identity has already been torn from him. The river carries away more than a baby. It carries away the truth that will later poison an entire war. Karna is then raised by Adhiratha and Radha, loved deeply but marked socially by the world as lower born. That makes the secret even more devastating. Karna's life will be shaped by insult, exclusion, and the hunger to prove himself, yet the bloodline that could explain everything remains hidden. Kunti's silence does not merely conceal a fact. It helps manufacture the wounded identity Karna must live inside. And still Kunti says nothing for years. Not when the Pandavas are born. Not when rivalries grow. Not when Karna first appears in public with a brilliance that should shake her to the core. The silence becomes habit, then strategy, then prison. By hiding one truth to survive her youth, Kunti creates a future in which revealing it becomes harder at every stage and more catastrophic every time it is delayed. When Karna first stands in the arena beside Arjuna, the issue is never just skill. He is challenged on birth, status, and legitimacy. The insult cuts so deeply because it strikes the exact wound Kunti's silence created. Karna does not know his royal origin. He only knows that every gatekeeper wants to reduce him to where he was raised. His genius becomes fused to grievance almost from the start. Then Duryodhana intervenes and changes Karna's life forever. He grants him kingship and public honor, not out of pure generosity, but also out of strategic intelligence. He knows talent when he sees it, and he knows resentment can be turned into fierce loyalty. From Karna's side, the moment is unforgettable. The man the elite mocked is seen, elevated, and armed with belonging. That bond will later overpower blood itself. Imagine Kunti watching this unfold. Every rise of Karna should tighten the secret. Every humiliation he suffers should accuse her silence. Yet the truth remains buried. That is why Kunti's later confession can never be simple reconciliation. It comes after years in which Karna has built his honor, his friendships, and his enemies around an identity formed in the absence of the very truth she withheld. The more Karna is wounded by the Pandava world, the more Duryodhana's friendship becomes sacred to him. This is crucial. Kunti may share blood with Karna, but Duryodhana shared risk, status, and visible trust. By the time war approaches, Karna's sense of self is no longer waiting for maternal recognition. It is anchored in chosen loyalty. That makes Kunti's truth emotionally explosive but politically weak. So when we arrive at the eve of Kurukshetra, Karna is not an empty son waiting to be reclaimed. He is a fully formed tragic force, proud, generous, wounded, loyal, and bound to the wrong side by debts that feel more real than blood. That is why Kunti's secret is so devastating now. She is not revealing identity to a child. She is trying to redirect a man whose entire life has already been shaped by her silence. Now the confession finally comes. Kunti approaches Karna before the war and reveals that he is her eldest son, elder even to Yudhishthira. The truth is staggering. In another story, this would be the moment that dissolves hostility. In the Mahabharata, it does not. The emotional force is real, but so are the years that came before it. Truth has arrived, yet history has already chosen its shape. Kunti does not confess only to unburden herself. She also asks. She wants Karna to join his brothers, or at least to spare them. That is where the moral tension sharpens. Is she finally acting like a mother, or is she trying to convert hidden blood into battlefield advantage? The epic leaves room for both readings. Her grief is real, but so is the calculation hidden inside the timing of her request. Karna's answer is what makes the scene unforgettable. He does not deny the truth, but he refuses to abandon Duryodhana. For him, loyalty is not an accessory that can be replaced by biology at the final moment. Duryodhana stood by him when the world humiliated him. Kunti did not. Karna chooses gratitude over blood, and in doing so he proves both his nobility and his fatal blindness at the same time. Yet Karna does offer Kunti one terrible mercy. He promises that she will still have 5 sons, because he will not kill any Pandava except Arjuna, or he himself will die. It is an extraordinary answer. He gives compassion without surrender, respect without obedience, and consolation without peace. Even his mercy is shaped by tragedy. The confession cannot stop the war. It can only redraw the limits of its grief. So the meeting ends not with reunion, but with deeper sorrow. Kunti leaves with partial relief and heavier guilt. Karna leaves with greater knowledge and the same fatal allegiance. The Mahabharata is merciless here. Some truths do not save. Some truths only reveal the full cost of waiting. And once truth arrives that late, even love begins to sound like an elegy instead of a rescue. So what is Kunti's secret really about? Not simply hidden parentage. It is about the moral cost of delayed truth. A lie by silence can feel survivable in the beginning because it protects reputation, stability, or fear. But the Mahabharata shows what happens when that silence is preserved for too long. It stops being shelter. It becomes architecture. Entire destinies start living inside it. The episode also corrects an easy fantasy. People sometimes imagine that if Karna had only known the truth earlier, everything would have healed automatically. The epic is wiser than that. Earlier truth might have changed much, but by the end Karna's bonds are no longer biological puzzles waiting to be solved. They are ethical commitments, resentments, and debts accumulated across a lifetime. Blood matters, but lived loyalty matters too. That is why Kunti's pain remains so unsettling. She is not a simple villain, and she is not a clean victim either. She is a mother trapped by fear who then becomes trapped by her own survival strategy. Her late confession reveals genuine love, but it also exposes how love without timely courage can leave the people we love to build themselves inside avoidable wounds. And once the secret is understood, another question naturally opens. If Kunti failed to move Karna with blood, why did Krishna later try to move him with kingship, destiny, and the promise of a throne? That next chapter reveals how close Karna came to a different future and why he still chose the road that led to ruin. So remember Kunti's secret before the war as more than a family reveal. It is the Mahabharata's warning that hidden truth does not stay hidden in its consequences. If this episode helped you see the Mahabharata more deeply, like this video, subscribe to EkalavyaLearn, and turn on the bell icon to get new videos on time. Next, Krishna's last offer to Karna shows how destiny made one final attempt to change course before Kurukshetra began.